What's good, fellas? Well, after a week-long hiatus, I am back. I'm Chad. This is the Last Cut Farm Team podcast, and yeah, we're gonna talk some ball. I want to start with the Yankees. Actually, Jazz Chisholm Jr., having been traded from Miami to New York, has hit the injured list. I am incredibly disappointed. To be honest, I had hoped that Jazz was going to be able to keep healthy the whole year, figure out a way to stay on the field. It just is disappointing, especially because of the start he had in New York. What was it, 14 games, 7 home runs? That's an absurd pace, and obviously not something anyone would really be able to sustain. But, it's just one of those things that is disappointing because of what could have been and what could still be. I will say it's weird seeing Jazz wear 13, especially on the Yankees, but for multiple reasons. Because I'm used to seeing him in a 2 jersey, but obviously 2's retired. But 13 was also A-Rod, and I understand why A-Rod, his number is not retired by New York. I get it, the PED thing, but it's still kind of an iconic jersey for me. I grew up in the A-Rod on the Yankees era, so I'm used to seeing that 13 and kind of associating it mentally with A-Rod. So I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I don't mean that in a negative way, because what other options would Jazz have? 92. So he's gonna make do of what he can. Honestly, I saw a video the other day. I can't remember what YouTuber did it, but he said he's a Yankees fan, and I don't know his channel that well, but I saw it, and he was talking about how he doesn't want to get pigeonholed as a Yankees YouTuber, and I get that. I'm kind of a little more indifferent about being pigeonholed. I guess I just want to be able to talk ball. I want to talk about what I'm passionate about. Anyway, in the video, he was talking about how the Yankees should unretire some numbers. And yeah, I think that, that's something the team should explore at some point. But that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. The other thing was congratulations to Aaron Judge. 300 home runs. By the time he retires, it's incredibly realistic to me that he retires with 600. And that's absurd because he didn't debut until he was like 25. Like, in terms of service time, like, he's getting the short end of the stick. A lot of guys that get to 600, or even 500 for that matter, debut when they're like 20 or 22 at the latest. He lost 3 full years, give or take, off some guys. I mean, shoot, Harper debuted when he was 19. So it's same thing with Soto, I believe. He was also 19. So it's just the thought of a dude that, and I know it took him time to find his swing and everything. It wouldn't have served him well to debut earlier. It might have been a Rougned Odor situation where Rougned Odor, when he was coming up, was kind of looked at as the next guy. He was a top prospect. Was good offensively, defensively. He was, from what I recall, kind of viewed as a 5-tool guy, but debuted when he was so young, he just wasn't ready and never really got fully developed. And, he's been a serviceable guy for the extent of his career, but he hasn't been up to the potential that a lot of people saw in him. And I really don't think it's his fault, to be completely honest. I feel like that was just kind of a fumble by the organization he was with at the time. But moving on from the Yankees, again, they're going crazy. Soto had a 3 home run week last week, I think. And since the break, Soto and Judge have combined 23, 24 home runs, something like that. So they're on an absurd pace. From what I've seen, at least the 2 of them, they're both hitting over 400 since the All-Star break. It's crazy. But moving on from that, there was a reshuffle of the top 30 for every team, of the prospects. So I kind of wanted to glance at the Marlins top prospects list again and just kind of make note of some notable changes here. The main one is Thomas White is the number one prospect in our system, and Noble Meyer is now number 2. They've removed Max Meyer from the list. Just noticed that because I guess he hit the service time mark where he's no longer considered a prospect. But that's kind of the main thing, the main change that I see, and it's understandable to me because of how they're performing at their level. They're both in high A in Beloit, and I think it's Beloit. And Thomas White is dominating there compared to Noble Meyer, who's having control issues. His fastball's seemingly more hittable. It's just kind of staying on plane, doesn't have any deception. It's got some velocity, but Tyler Kolek showed us that if you have velo without anything else, it just kind of, if it's a flat plane fastball that doesn't have much life to it, it's gonna get knocked around. So hopefully Noble Meyer can figure it out and make a change, make an adjustment to have his fastball play more, or rely more on secondary stuff with a live fastball that he can use, not as a secondary pitch, because you never want your 1 to be a 2, but if he can just locate it more on the corners and not leave it over the middle of the plate, but there's potential there for him to grow into. But that was the thing. Obviously, the new additions of Connor Norby, Agustin Ramirez, Davison De Los Santos, Robbie Snelling, Carter Johnson. Carter Johnson and P.J. Morlando are both top 10 prospects now, and Joe Mack has jumped up to 10 on the list. Joe Mack's been having a very power-happy season. His contact hasn't been great. His defense been okay, but all of a sudden we got 2 catchers in our top 10. Carter Johnson, I was more excited about Carter Johnson than I was P.J. Morlando, and that's not a knock on Morlando. That's just more of I feel like the value we got for Johnson was significant, but he's already our number 7 prospect on the list, and that's good. He's been balling in Single A in Jupiter. Heading on down the list, there's not really any other changes. I'm a little disappointed Victor Mesa Jr. dropped down to 17, considering he was, I want to say, 8 earlier this year. And, that is just the fact that we've added so much at the top. But I still want to see him make his debut this year. It doesn't project him till 25, which is disappointing. Yeah, I would love to see Victor Mesa Jr. and Troy Johnston make their debuts this year. I feel like that would just be good to see, especially when we're, fielding the DFA team. So we'll kind of see how the rest of the year shakes out. Marlins news, other guys on the Marlins that I wanted to kind of highlight real quick. Jonah Bride has been swinging the stick. I have been really pleasantly surprised with Jonah Bride in the best way, because I did not expect him to ball as much as he's been balling. I think maybe not last night, one of the last couple nights, he hit his 5th home run of the year, which career high already. But in his last 15 games, he's got 5 home runs and is hitting .296 with he's one-dotting in his last 15 games. He's one-dotting. It's in his last 15, 1029 OPS. That's good. On the season, again, short sample size, but on the season, his OPS is 849. That's good. Since when is he that good? I didn't realize he was like that. And it could just be a hot streak, but I didn't see him as a power threat guy. The most home runs he's hit in his professional career in the minors, I want to say, was like, combined with his major league time that year, he might have had like 13 or 14 home runs. Let me check real quick. He I know that in one of the years he had 13. 2023 he had 13 in the minors in 73 games, and in the majors he had none. So 13 is the most he's hit in a single season. And if you look at this year, he had 11 in the minors, And he's already got 5 in the majors. He's got a career high in home runs already. He's got a career high, I want to say, in service time too this year. Oh, no. His rookie year in Oakland, he played 58 games, 162 at-bats. So he's still got time to get there. Honestly, with the pace he's at, it feels like he's going to be an everyday player for at least the remainder of the season. And honestly, he's okay at defense at first base. He's okay at defense at third base. Like, he's all right. He's a good role player, a good replacement level guy in my eyes. Another guy I want to highlight, I might come back to Jonah Bride, I'm not sure. I just wanted to throw that out there. Congrats to X. Xavier Edwards already got 20 stolen bases this year, and that's kind of crazy because I think he's still under 40 games, or he's right around there. And that pace would put him at, like 80? Or I think I did the math. It was like, it'd put him right around 80 because if he, full 162. So that's crazy. Good for X. And he's only been caught like twice. So that's 20 of 22. Again, another guy I didn't realize was that fast. And it might not even be the speed. It might be the intelligence on the base path. But, I mean, even if he doesn't fit at shortstop, he should have a spot on this squad for a minute. Because he's been hitting like crazy. He's hitting like 360-something. And stolen 20 bags already. Hit for the cycle. Like, he's been going off. And honestly, I feel like I hope we don't Luis Arias him where we just sell high, because I want him to stick around for a minute. He's still got plenty of service time, and we need service time. So, but I want to move into the underrated player of the week. I have one man planned who maybe he's not as underrated by many, but I wanted to highlight him because I'm sure that casuals don't know this man's name. Brent Rooker. The man is top 10 in every major power statistical category in my knowledge, at least the primary ones that everybody thinks about. He's, last I checked, I think tied for 7th for OPS, or right around 7th or 8th for OPS. Yeah, I pulled up the numbers. Rooker is 7th in OPS with a 950, and he's got 29 home runs. He's going to have a 30 home run campaign. This is his best statistical year. He's got career highs in pretty much every category across the board, including, I think he's tied his career high for hits. He has a career high for triples with 2, so, low bar, but still career high. 29 home runs, and he's doing all this in Oakland. And that's the thing that's kind of, I won't say blowing my mind, but I think that's why he's flying under the radar so much, because he is, not on a team that's like the Yankees, like of that caliber. And it's not his fault that he's kind of stuck in purgatory there, but his baseball reference page is kind of ridiculous, or baseball savant page is kind of ridiculous. It looks like a tomato, like a top-heavy tomato. And all of his stats are up this year. He is hitting the ball hard. He's 98th percentile in batting run value. 98th percentile in expected slugging. 97th percentile in xWOBA. All of his top stats, barrel percentage, 98th percentile. Sweet spot percentage, 96th percentile. Hard hit percentage, 94th percentile. He's going off, is my point. And he does have some blue in there of the K percentage, whiff percentage, squared up percentage, and chase percentage. Those are lower, but I mean, he's a power first guy, and he's been swinging the stick, man. Like, his expected batting average is 280, and his actual is 293 currently. So, I mean, it's higher than it's expected to be, which probably indicates it'll drop a little bit. So his production might drop off slightly, but with the power numbers, the barrel percentage, the hard hit percentage, the sweet spot percentage, and his bat speed is 81st percentile. So not super crazy high, but he's having a crazy year this year. Like, compared to the rest of his career, his exit velocity, average exit velo, is up almost a full tick. It's 92.3 this year. Last year it was 91.6. average exit velo. His max exit velo this year, 113.4. His average launch angle, 17.8. That's a lot more of a home run angle. And I mean, it's similar to last year, so he made an adjustment, and it paid off because last year and this year have been his two best years statistically in his career. Once he got to Oakland, he figured it out. I want to say he was an all-star last year, so people should know his name, but I don't think they're putting him in that category. I don't think people realize he is top 10 in the league in OPS. And there was a lot of trade talk about him and everything, and I feel like people just kind of looked past him because he is a stud. His all of his stats say that he is a stud. And I mean, he's been showing that. All right, so as I look at his numbers by pitch type, the most evident change to me is the adjustment he's made on breaking stuff. Last year, his batting average against breaking balls was a 141. This year, 263, which is significantly better, over 100 points better. His batting average against off speed has benefited, but not nearly as drastically as the breaking pitches. I don't know if he's just recognizing them out of the hand better or if he's just expecting them more because he knows he can hit the fastball. His batting average against the fastball is up this year from last year, and his expected batting average is also up this year as opposed to last year. So I don't know. He's made some adjustment that maybe he's looking breaking ball, or I don't even know. I don't know, what it could be, unless, maybe he trusts his hands enough to be able to get the bat around to hit him. But he's made some adjustment against breaking stuff, and it's paid off. Last year he had 5 home runs against breaking balls. This year 11. His production has significantly gone up against breaking balls. His slugging percentage this year, last year it was 632 against fastballs. This year, fastballs is down a touch to 607, and he's doing most of his damage on breaking stuff. 632 against breaking balls. I think it might be that. I think he might just be kind of expecting pitchers to throw him breaking stuff more and is looking for it more. Because if he's hunting that and can trust his hands enough to get around to the fastballs and just go the other way with the fastballs, maybe that's what's working for him. Maybe he's thinking more all field instead of just pull. Again, I don't watch West Coast baseball because I'm on the East Coast, and by the time the games start, I'm usually in bed because I have to wake up at 5:30 to go to work. So it's the whole thing about adjustment, man. This sport's a game of adjustment, a game of small adjustment, a game of inches, and he has made the adjustment. He is having a year this year. That's absurd to me. Like how it's not absurd, but the stark contrast in hitting the breaking ball. Whatever they're doing out there in Oakland with Brent specifically, it's working because he's swinging the stick. And then to bring it back to Miami briefly, not briefly, probably the rest of the episode, I want to talk about Jake Burger some because he has also just been on an ungodly tear. I remember a couple days ago hearing that since the All-Star break, he has the most home runs in the MLB. And I believe that. He has 14 since the All-Star break. Judge has 12. I think Soto has 12 or 13. Brent Rooker has like 10. I was just kind of looking at those stats because, yeah, Burger's on a tear. He looking at his numbers, he's hitting 333 since the All-Star break. And he's 1205 OPS since the All-Star break. And I just happened to be on his Baseball Savant page. His base running value on the year is actually higher than his batting run value, which is strange when you look at him. But, I mean, his sprint speed is 66th percentile. Big man can move, and this is something that I kind of noticed last year, but yeah, big man can move. He's not going to steal you bases necessarily, but if he's on first and there's a double in the gap, there's a good chance he's looking to score. So that alongside Jesus Sanchez, they've been hitting pretty much 2-3, or if it's a lefty, maybe 2-4 with Bride in the 3-hole. But Sanchez, I think he's primed for a big year. And I was kind of thinking about this earlier. He's kind of following the peaks and valleys of many hitters like that they go through. And like, for instance, I'm gonna pull up the stats real quick for his years in the big leagues. So 2021 was an up year, because I'm not counting 2020 because it was 10 games. Like his OPS that year was a 252. His OPS that year was a 252 in 2020. Again, it was 2020. He had one hit in 25 at bats. So 2021 is kind of what I'm looking at as the litmus test of what he could be. That year he hit 251 with an 808 OPS in 64 games, 251 plate appearances, hit 14 home runs, showing off the potential. Like, he could be a guy. 2022 was supposed to be his first full year. He struggled. He hit 214, OPS of 683, not great. Okay enough. 13 home runs, 98 games. So you stretch that over a full year, you're probably looking a little under 20 home runs. But 2023, he had a slightly higher year, down from his 21 numbers, but this was the most games he's ever played, 125 games, 402 plate appearances, 360 at bats, and 14 home runs. He hit 253 that year, so back up to the kind of odd year, the 21 numbers. His OPS was 777. This year, back down a little bit. His stolen base numbers are up. He's got 9, so he's 9 of 10 this year. He's got a sneaky kind of on the base paths. And he's got 15 home runs, which is a career high. 15 home runs, career high. 368 at-bats, career high. 112 games, not a career high. But by the end of the year, it should be a career high. He's getting more at-bats against lefties, and he's doing more damage against lefties, which is something I was clamoring about earlier in the year, is that you can't get better against something if you're never tested against it. And having him hit against lefties is imperative to his progress. Whether or not he stays on the team longer than another 2 or 3 years, I think he's got potential to be a dude. And he's not going to be a dude if you don't give him the opportunity to become a dude. But that tells me, and if you look at his the actual top of the Savant page, his xwOBA, from xwOBA down to hard hit percentage is red. It's not, cherry red for most of it, but the exit velo is 96th percentile, hard hit percentage 95th percentile, bat speed 88th percentile. The stuff he's down on, sweet spot percentage, squared up percentage, chase percentage, whiff percentage, K percentage, walk percentage. That's all blue. And that's not great, but based on the way he's been hitting recently, I really think he's primed for a big year next year. I would bet money that he has an OPS above 800 and 30 or more home runs. I'm pretty confident that those two things are going to happen for him next year, given he stays healthy for, if not a full 162, at least 140. I think if he gets 140 plus games, that's my caveat, 140 plus games, he hits 30 home runs next year. Whether that's from Miami or if he gets traded to a team in a more hitter-friendly ballpark, who knows? Because it feels like Miami's the least hitter-friendly ballpark. I know statistically it's not, I don't think. It's definitely bottom third. I want to say it's bottom 3 of the league, but I don't know if it's number 1 or not. It feels like it is because our offense is always so horrible. His fielding has actually shown through this year. His range and arm strength are actually 72nd percentile or better. His range is 79th percentile. His arm value is down, which is weird because he's got a strong arm, but I guess it's more about the accuracy with that. His sprint speed is pretty average. I mean, he's not a guy who's going to blow you away with speed. You know what I mean? Like, again, he's got 9 stolen bases this year. I think that's just being smart on the base paths. He's had some moments this year, in particular, where him and Brian De La Cruz just had mental gaffes on the base paths. And they hurt the team. They did. But the hope is, because he's 26, so he should be maturing at this point. And my hope is that he figures it out next year. I really think he's primed to have a huge year next year. And it's really up to him. I feel like coming into this year, it felt like this year was a make it or break it. Next year, it's 100% a make it or break it. Like, if he doesn't perform, that's going to be it for him with Miami, at least. Because I think he's going to be going into arbitration next year. And I love Jesus Sanchez. I love the way he plays the game. Like, with the energy he brings, he's a joy to watch. He's also objectively really funny when he runs the bases. Like, he'll go into slide feet first and his arms will just go into the air. Sometimes he'll run like he's getting chased by, some monster in a cheesy horror film where his arms are just up in the air, like kind of a comedy horror, a satirical horror film. And I don't know, he's just a lot of fun to watch. He's a lot of fun to watch play, and he's a lot of fun to watch hit 460-foot, 480-foot home runs. He hit a 480-foot home run in Miami. In Miami. That's crazy to me. Nobody goes 480 in Miami. It was the second longest home run hit in Miami by anyone in loanDepot Park. The first being Avisail Garcia before we gave him a bunch of money when he was with Tampa. He came in, hit a ball 485, I think, dead center. But Stanton hasn't gotten 480 in Marlins Park, in loanDepot Park. Stanton, Mr. 122 exit velo off the bat or whatever it is, some crazy number. Meanwhile, Jesus Sanchez, who is no slouch when it comes to max exit velo this year, 116.4, and I believe that was on the 480. It just, I don't know. I just see him, he has so much potential if he can get the launch angle right. Because right now it's 8.2, and that's good for a line drive hitter. But you kind of want him to get a little more air under it, a little more lift, because it's if he bumps that launch angle from 8.2 to 12, it's over. He's going to have 30, 40 home runs easy. Because he does hit the ball a lot. Like, yeah, he strikes out a lot, but he hits it. When he hits it, it goes. He hits it hard. But his expected batting average this year is a 266, which is a high on his career. And his actual batting average this year is a 242. So that to me tells me he should be hitting better than he should have numbers that reflect better than he does. I just truly believe that something's going to click next year. I'd be willing to put money on it, that something will click with Jesus Sanchez. I hope to God it's with Miami and we don't trade him for a bag of chips, because he's got something special. And then I just wanted to kind of bring a close to the episode. I wanted to talk about Beozo, who's a pitcher for Miami. We got him in a small trade, and we picked him up kind of to be a depth piece. And he has just balled, man. He's been pitching his butt off. The other day, he went 7 strong innings against Philly, shut him out in Philly. And that's just a credit to the type of pitcher he is. And that's another kind of nod to the softball approach. Junk ballers. Literally just, you don't need velo. You need guys that'll go out there, get innings, and get outs. And he is a prime example of that. Right now, at this moment, he is the best starting pitcher, maybe best pitcher overall in Miami. But yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about today. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, listening to me rant and ramble about ball in general. But thank you guys for listening, and hang out with me next week.